Welcome to the Israel National Hockey Society podcast. I'm your host, Mark Greenberg, coming to you live from New York. By way of brief background, I am an organizer of some events for the Israeli national ice hockey team and a former two-bit backup goaltender for the team on a couple of occasions. And I have with me today a very special guest, an actual real player for the team, national team forward and HC Bat Yam Chiefs captain Josh Greenberg, who also happens to be the all-time leading scorer in the Israeli National Hockey League. Josh, welcome and good morning. Good afternoon for you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good morning to you. Happy to be here. Happy to talk some Israel hockey.
Glad to have you aboard. And if you could just give the viewers a little bit of background on your journey to becoming the captain of the HC Bat Yam Chiefs and how you got yourself into the Israeli National Ice Hockey League.
Well, the first thing is I was captain for the games in Dubai, which we'll talk about. But Nissan Butbul has been the captain for many years now. I'm an alternate when we play in the league. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, so I assume the captain responsibilities when I go. So I have to give him credit. One day I'll be captain, I hope, but it's Nissan's for now. But basically, I was born and raised in Los Angeles to a Montreal Canadiens father. He was born in Montreal and then moved to LA when he was 8 with his family, but loves hockey. All his brothers loved hockey, and that side of the family did. And it was pretty much given that I was going to like hockey. But the cherry on top was I was born June 3rd, 1988. And then August 9th, 1988, Gretzky was traded to LA. So everything pretty much aligned at that point. So diehard Kings fan, diehard hockey fan, been skating since like 1, playing hockey since I was like 2, 3. Nothing too competitive in LA. I wasn't allowed to play club hockey because the games were on Shabbat and my father didn't want us to separate the family and that sort of thing. So I became an in-house legend, so to speak. And that'll be one of the only times I could brag about myself, but it is true. And then at 18, I moved to Israel with my family. My dad always wanted to live in Israel. And basically the only fighting that I did was like, there needs to be hockey in Israel. Otherwise I'm not going and giving up hockey, which there was, which was a surprise. I met Tal Avneri in IDC when I went to school. And he told me that there's hockey in the country and we have a league and there's Bat Yam and you should join. And then the rest is history. Slowly thereafter, I've been playing with Bat Yam for over 14 years. I've also been playing with the IRHA, which is a recreational league here. They've had many tournaments and just pick up hockey and they do their other project, which is nice. But yeah, it's been 14 years with Bat Yam. We're about to start season 15, hopefully, once the cases go down. And it's been lots of interesting and crazy stories along the way.
And you have managed to rack up enough goals, assists, and points to be the all-time leading scorer in the league, in the National League.
Yeah, a lot of it is consistency. I'll say that. I'm not the flashiest player. There's been many players that have come to the league who are better than me. That's for sure. No need to name drop right now. You can always look it on Elite Prospects, or there'll be probably articles in the future on your site or the site with players that played in the league. But I guess I could say is I have a tremendous hockey IQ, is where I know how to play the game and where to go. Because as I said, I'm not the flashiest player. There might be players with better shots or better passing or skating, but I know how to put it all together. And despite what people think, I just the goals and the points come. And again, another little humble brag, but the tally speaks for itself. And there's especially the beginning years, which the statistics weren't recorded, the numbers are a bit higher than what you see on the website.
Yeah, well, hey, congratulations! It's still an amazing thing to be the Wayne Gretzky of Israeli National Hockey League for quite a few years now. Just jumping to the Bat Yam club. The club obviously being owned at this point by its former goaltender and former National League goaltending, national team goaltending legend Evgeny Gusin. Evgeny, along with another former National League, national team goaltender, Lev Genin, put together a pretty amazing historical trip. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's lots of moving parts to it. Basically, from what I heard from Lev, he knows one of the organizers in the Emirates in Dubai named Vladimir Burdun. And then supposedly this was an idea 5 years ago. but obviously nothing could be done because there was no relations. And then once the Abraham Accords were happening and were signed, I spoke with Lior Bendal, who's our GM at HC Bat Yam, and I said, like, we need to go to UAE. Like, this needs to happen. We need to have some sort of games or a tournament. And Lior was open to that idea. That's how he told Evgeny and Lev, and I'm sure they also had plans themselves because they are the organizers of it. And then we sent a letter to them, hoping for a 14 tournament. But ultimately, we were able to pull off a 2-game series with the Dubai Mighty Camels on short notice. They agreed to it just shortly before the start of December, and within 2 weeks, the games and the trip was happening.
And you guys played for the Nations Cup, they said?
Yeah, it was the inaugural version of the Nations Cup. Like I said, it was supposed to be like a 4-team tournament. We just couldn't get enough teams for it, so it just became a 2-game series between the two sides. And as we'll get to, it was a fun, more friendly atmosphere since it was the first game, but it was also competitive to win that trophy. And we came together as a team and took both games, which is a huge accomplishment, both making history, playing the games and winning the game.
Now, just to give people at home an idea, the Dubai Mighty Camels are the most decorated team in the Emirates League. And my understanding is that they don't actually have any Arab players, that they do have, they're Arab owned as a club, but that they do have a ton of Russians and Canadians, maybe some other Europeans on the team.
Yeah, it was definitely more of a foreign influence on their side. I think there's 1 or 2, but I can't confirm it, meaning Arabs. But because they get to UAE and they know there's hockey there, so they formed this team. As they said in their press release, they said they're the most decorated team in the Middle East. I think HC Bat Yam might have to differ on that, but we'll see for the next time we meet them, because hopefully they will come to Jerusalem for the grudge match, because we can't wait to play them again because it was a good experience. But yeah, mostly Canadians, Russians. They had 2 new players that were just joining their team that they signed because they have a nice sports agency there in the Emirates, and they were talented players, but they started to mess it up a bit with some of our guys. They got a little bit chippy at the start of the second game.
Okay, well, that happens when you lose the first game and then you find yourself behind in the second game, I guess. Credit to HC Bat Yam winning the Nations Cup, sweeping both games by 9-6 and 10-7 scores. I haven't seen any of the game tape yet, but my understanding is, at least in the first game, you guys had to rally from a 3-1 deficit. How did you do in terms of, gameplay in the second? Did you have to rally again, or did you lead tape to tape, or how did it go?
The second game, they were more into it because they saw what happened after the first game, and they didn't want to lose both games, obviously. That's why it got a little bit physical and chippy. At the start of the second game, they took some shots after the whistle, which was kind of started things up a bit. And it was pretty close. It was tight at the beginning because they gave a good push at the beginning, but we just pulled together, overpowered. We were led by our top 2 scoring lines, and they clicked, especially the second line. We had a second line of Ariel Kapukin, Evgeny Kozhevnikov, and Artyom Verny. The first game, they were getting their chemistry together. The second game, they scored 3 or 4 nice goals. It was nice to see, and hopefully the Society website will have the footage of the game too. Hopefully the full 60 minutes, and you can see some of those goals because there was great plays. It was fun to watch, and it was fun to see them come together, and that's why we put them as a line. So it was good to see. And it was more of the same. We dictated the play once we got a footing of the game, and we took it to them, and we won.
Excellent. Congrats. The other thing too, just to give people at home an idea, I think you're a little bit modest for the level of Bat Yam, and I wouldn't exactly call it. I know you yourself play both in the National League and do some recreational stuff, but just to give people an idea at home, besides having yourself as the all-time league scorer, I know Bat Yam has Artyom Verny, for example, played youth hockey for Spartak Moscow, and Evgeny Kozhevnikov played in the German minor leagues. His brother Mikhail played in the German Elite League, the DEL, also DEL2. You've got Aaron Spivak, was a point per game player for 4 years in the Ontario Junior League. I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but I know you brought along Landon Schiller for the tournament, played Canadian University hockey and in the Quebec Major Junior League. Ariel Kapulkin playing NCAA Division III ice hockey. So, certainly Bat Yam has more than recreational players. I think, obviously it's fair to say you have a mix of guys with some pro, semi-pro, collegiate, and junior experience on the team. Did you find the Mighty Camels to be roughly the same level, or was it a distinct difference? What did you see in terms of their level?
A little bit of a distinct difference. I want to be kind in my words to them because they were good opponents, but we got there and basically had no practices and came together as a team, and we were comfortably having our way with them. I think if with full practices, full training camp, that sort of thing, because we put this game in such short notice and they're playing together as a team, it might have been a different story comes to the scoreline. I think they play well. I think they need one or two more players like the ones they signed for this coming season, which I think they're working on. But I think if we were actually like with a full like training camp practices, it would have been a much different story.
Well, you guys are coming in cold, basically because of the coronavirus shutdown in Israel. Not to mention a couple of new players to your lineup, but so yeah, you guys came in a little bit cold.
In addition, we had 2 or 3 players testing positive. So
yeah,
so the lineup.
Who did you end up missing?
We lost Brendan Schiller, not Brendan Schiller. What's his last name? I don't know. Brendan, a new player. I'm missing.
Oh, Schetzer.
Yeah, Schenzer. It's the same as Schiller. He's a new player for this year. He's coming from University of Miami. Apologies, Brendan. He was in New York doing his medical degree and unfortunately caught corona there. Shimon Horowitz is joining the team also. He was part of the NYU club team and he's coming to Israel to join Bat Yam this season. Really good player, good prospect, so to say, even though not really a prospect, but he had to stay because his yeshiva had a person catch it, so everyone had to stay. And then we had another player, Sheplev, Dennis Sheppy, who caught it just before flying, so he stayed back as well.
So the Israeli league itself, I mean, you've been in the league for 14 years and, you know, like a lot of small hockey nations, the league might change from year to year in terms of which teams participate, how many teams, what the setup for the regular season is, how many games, how the playoffs are structured, et cetera, et cetera. That's just the way it is in a small hockey country. But overall, you know, what type of players have you seen come through the Israeli National League? And I know there's a lot of Russian players that come. There are a lot of guys that come from college club hockey in the States, guys who have some Canadian junior experience from Canada. So how would you rate the level of the league in Israel the past few years in terms of competitiveness and the type of player that you see coming through?
I've always been poor with the defining the level or the name of the level. I've always can't really put a definitive definition on that. I will say there continues to be a growth and people coming to this country who are really good players. One player that comes to mind is like Aviv Milner, who joined the national team, played with Bat Yam. Now he's with One Ice for the time being, I'll say, and he's a really good player. There's also lots of players that just come from Russia that you learn to meet, and the level's getting better. We're hurting right now because there's a divide in this country with the hockey between the politics, whatever. So 2 or 3 teams are missing from what'll be the makeup of this season. But like 3 or 4 years ago, when we were having a 8-team league, it was solid all the way from us to Metula and Rishon to the Ness Ziona Dragons, Kfar Saba, obviously Maalot. Haifa was decent, even though they were getting up there in age. But you'd have a decent league with decent games, and you couldn't say who was going to win the league because there's 4 or 5 teams in the hunt. Now it's just us, and then there's Rishon and Metula, and that's pretty much it. And they'll be just stacking up the teams again this year from the clubs that are not wanting to participate, which is again unfortunate. And we'll go from there. But overall, there's lots of talented players in this country with the league's at a good level. You just now need to get a good league management and run the league properly, where you have 8 teams and more games. And no one's doing that because of the fighting. Because not to get too into it, just people want to be in control of the hockey in this country for their own reasons and not for helping Israel hockey. And
yeah, we've talked about that in the society podcast before, actually, when I was interviewed on a British broadcast, just about the politics between the fighting within the federation, the fighting with the owner of One Ice, Pavel Levin. Hopefully all sides can come together. You know, as I mentioned on that podcast, Israeli hockey as a community is too small to fight with each other. And there really is so much potential. You know, like I tell people, given the 1 half-size rink that you guys play out of in Holon And, the rink in Matula, which doesn't even have ice right now, but is a full-size rink. And then the new one ice rink, which isn't even available for National League use because of Pavel's dispute with the federation. It's amazing that Israeli hockey has come as far as it has. But that being said, just jumping back, I know you mentioned Aviv Milner, for example. He's another guy, a junior A player in Canada, pretty much a point per game guy. So, given you have a lot of junior A Canadian guys, a lot of collegiate club players from the US coming over, guys who played in various minor leagues in Russia and Europe. So, it's a better league than people give it credit for. And hopefully we'll see it, start to get back to what it was a couple of years ago. Just jumping back to Dubai, how did you guys as a team and as an organization get treated once you got off the plane and stepped into Dubai?
Nothing special. Like, we're pretty much on our own. They took care of us when we got to the rink. The management took care of all the logistics and that sort of thing, but nothing too special. The second game had the puck ceremony with the ambassador from Canada, which was nice, but nothing. It was just nothing out of the ordinary. It was because it was such short notice that I don't think anything could have been done, and I'm nothing taken aback by it or anything. It is what it was.
And obviously not big crowds of fans or anything like that because of coronavirus. So
yeah,
but as far as the sports organization that brought you over, though, they treated you guys well. You guys felt safe. You felt welcomed.
Yeah, definitely. There was no worry of our safety. We felt safe the whole time. Everything went smoothly. We got to the games. We came back. No fear of corona. We stayed as close to a bubble as we could do with some touring, but we did the touring in our own group, so that was fine. And yeah, safety was totally fine. Didn't feel unsafe.
Nice. I mean, it is really a great thing to see what hockey can do for Israel and international relations. Israel, unfortunately, has been unfairly demonized so much in certain quarters of the world. You see something like the Abraham Accords and peace between Israel and the UAE. And HC Bat Yam, you guys are something of pioneers. The first sports team, not individual athletes, but the first actual team sports event to be held in the UAE involving an Israeli team. That's got to be special.
Yeah, that was part of the reason why I felt so strongly that we needed to go right away and not wait for this to build, because it's just the endless possibilities. Because now we're talking about the grudge match of them coming here. And I mean, I've said it in other places, but like, to me, there's no doubt in my mind this game needs to be taking place in Jerusalem.
At the Pace Arena, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, now it comes down to us as organizers, both on the management and their side, and speaking to whoever, just to raise awareness, sponsorships, government involvement, and make this happen, because we could fill that place up, because it would be an historic event, bringing a UAE team to play hockey in the capital. And you'd have many people interested all over the world: Arabs, Jews, Russians, Americans, Canadians, hockey lovers. It's a once in a lifetime game, and playing in the nation's capital. You're playing an ice hockey game between Israel and the UAE in Jerusalem.
And obviously a city not only important to Jews, but also to Muslims and Christians as well. It would be a major sports event and a major cultural event, a major event for peace. It's a great idea. I would love to see it happen. And we know it can happen in Jerusalem, since in 2017, we got to see the national team, including yourself, skate on Jerusalem ice for the Maccabi games, which was pretty special.
Yeah, I'll leave off my personal experience, but as the whole event of the Maccabi, it was amazing to actually have that in Jerusalem and be a part of that team, I'll say, and skate in the capital, especially in a building like that. Never would think you would do that in Israel, but we did it. Unfortunately, the team only got fourth in that tournament, but nevertheless, it was a good trial run to show that the game can work in the capital. And now we just need to grow. Like, we need the fighting to stop, and that would be the next thing. Like the rumors of the KHL game coming there as well, because one of the things I wanted to add was we received many well wishes and support messages from around the world for the Dubai game. NHL, obviously, Gary Bettman said his message, but the president of the KHL, Alex Morozov, sent his message, which is very nice. And there's some connections there between him and like Lev and Evgeny. Evgeny knows lots of people in Russia hockey, and is one of the people looking to hopefully get the KHL game, because that's another thing that would bring to Jerusalem. And I can only imagine if you have a double header, supposedly, if you have a Israel UAE game and then KHL game to follow. Just an idea.
Or you could always have HC Bat Yam jump up and level and play CSKA Moscow or Avangard Omsk.
Maybe, but then we might need to make a call to Sherby, and I don't know if Levin would want to play with us, but we would need those guys. But I joked with Lior that I would love to sign a one-day contract if the KHL team comes here. But we'll see. There's lots of possibilities, and it's just about growing the game here and promoting it and making the best sport in the world be a long-lasting in the best country in the world, because that's all of our goals. We love hockey, we love Israel, and there's no reason why it can't be up there with soccer and basketball here. And it's about time that everyone gets their act together and realize we have momentum here, and let's build our sport. Let's work together and build it as one and not just an individual. But
yeah, I think the league in Israel I was saying this, tell me if you agree or disagree, but in my opinion, just from what I watched, I can't say I played in it the way you have, but I'd say from about 2013 to maybe 2018, the league really had kind of a golden period with a number of decent teams and competitiveness and good games and some good video available for people around the world to really get a feel for the league. Agree, disagree? I feel like the last year or two has kind of, just because of the fighting, brought it down a little bit, but hoping we can get back to what it was.
Yeah, that's the goal. 2013 to 2018 was the golden period of where we've taken the league, especially under good management back then. And it was nice. It was it felt like the league was going somewhere. I felt like the next thing was you were going to see our games on TV, in the newspapers, and getting that promotion. That's where it was feeling like it was going to be. And obviously there's fighting now, which has stalled that. And now COVID has also stalled that. And we'll see what happens when we start the new season, because hopefully it gets back up to 6 teams. We have a successful run of games, a good season, and then just get Kfar Saba, Maalot, those teams back in the field, and just have it a real good league with real good players. Because, like I've been saying, new players are continuing to come to Israel, and we can just spread them around the league, so we can have 6, 7 really good teams, and then we have a really good league, something to promote more.
And as far as Bat Yam, your club, you guys have gone a couple of times now, having won the Israeli League 3 of the past 4 years now. You guys have gotten to participate in the IIHF Continental Cups qualifying round. Haven't won a game yet, but you had a couple of real close ones where you had leads even into the third period against full-blown pro teams from the joint Dutch-Belgian League and the Spanish League. Third period leads against, Serbian and Bulgarian teams, semi-pro teams, and haven't been able to put those away yet, but I feel like you guys are really close. And if we could just get you to the next Continental Cup, I think it's finally the time for Bat Yam to break through. How'd you feel about the experiences in the Conti Cup? And what was it that caused you to not be able to put those games away? I mean, you guys did have leads for a fair portion of multiple games where you were really competitive.
Well, that's also one of the other goals when you want to win the league, is that you have a potential, not always guaranteed, but a potential ticket to the Continental Cup. And like I've been saying, with the players that we have squads capable of winning that opening round. No doubt in my mind. It just comes down to want to get more and playing smart hockey. I can speak on this past one from Belgium almost 2 years ago now, that the first game we played out of our minds, great goaltending from Resinger. Aaron had a good goal. I got on the scoring. Ezra Birdstein got our first goal, and just collapsed in the third. You take too many penalties, and they're a better squad as a team, and they buckled down at home and took it to us in the third. And we made some silly mistakes. And that's also one of the things that people don't know about Israel hockey, is we shoot ourselves in the foot way too often with penalties. And that just comes down to lazy hockey and long shifts. It really comes down to that, because we have smart players. You know how to play the game, but you just don't move your feet, put your stick in at the wrong time, and you're taking too many penalties. And if you take too many penalties, the other team's going to burn you. The third game was against the Spanish champions, and it was an amazing comeback. We had to kill a 5-on-4. We scored 2 shorthanded goals. It's 4-4 going into the final minute, and unfortunately, we made again, not using our heads, a stupid defensive change right when the other team was coming up the ice. So they had the whole left wing to skate up and down the ice, and they walked right in and Resi. And There's a picture of me reaching out because I was the forward trying to cover for the defenseman, but he was too far ahead of me and he just blasted right by with 30 seconds. And instead of taking it to overtime or shootout, we ended up with a crushing, brutal defeat. But we're there. We're building the roster to compete there and to win. That's been our goal since Belgium. We took the second Continental Cup we've gone to in recent history was a eye opener. We thought we brought a strong team. It didn't go together, so we knew we had to build it the right way, and that's what we did for Belgium. We brought in Aaron Spivak, we brought in Lior, and the team came together, which is important. The team needs to come together. Not one person is the head of the team, which was the case in Belgium, and we played really good hockey. And it's unfortunate we had no results from it, but we're building on it, and that's why we were hoping for Iceland to win it. But nevertheless, it's now begins again for this upcoming season to win the league and then go to Continental. And we go from there because we've gained new friends and people to the family who came with us to Dubai. A big addition was Daniel Spivak because that solidifies the defenseman. There's a
Sure.
there's a defensive shortage in this country. There's some good defensemen in this country, but we need to improve it. And that was part of our issue in Belgium, having to cover with older players, I'll say. And just many people couldn't make the trip, but like we're slowly working on building the squad and being a good defensive side because if we can keep the puck out of our net, we have a good enough team to win those games as we showed in Belgium. So like Daniel Spivak was great to have and play for Bat Yam. That was an honor for him to be part of the family. Now he's always welcome. And Landon Schiller was a joy to see as well. He's part of the family too. He was on tap to play with us in Iceland. That's why we were welcoming him then. So it was good to see him in Dubai. And yeah, we just new players are coming. We're building the squad, and the goal is obviously win the league and then go to Continental.
Well, Dan Spivak's an interesting player. For those at home who don't know, he's in his early 30s now, but Dan captained RIT to the NCAA D1 Frozen Four, the only Israeli to do that, and played professionally in the ECHL. So certainly a really solid defender to have for Bat Yam in the Continental Cup, and certainly for the Nations Cup. I'm assuming played a huge role in your win. Having him and another former pro, elite European pro in Mikhail Kozevnikov, that's two defenders that can pretty much play against any level of competition. So that's got to be huge for you in a tournament setting, especially.
It's one of the best experiences playing with them together. I've done so. I've had the honor of being with them for many national team tournaments now, and for them to be both together in Bat Yam has been amazing. Every time I'm with Misha, I always learn more about the game, how to be a better player, how to make simple, good plays. And then you add Spivak to it, and it's together. Again, another smart player, knows how to play the game, makes it look effortlessly, and you put them together and you put their minds together and they help calm the team down. You can learn from them, and that sets us forward. And it's just amazing to see. I appreciate it. I know that there's more I can learn from the game, and anything I can grasp from them, I'm truly appreciative, especially from Misha, because I've played with him now for over 8 years. And the nicest guy off the ice as well. He puts his teammates before himself. Same with his brother. Like they're amazing to have. They've been part of the Bat Yam family for so long, and their just influence helps build the team and gives us that momentum and that motivation and all that to get those wins. So just a joy to play with them.
And look, I mean, you guys started with the Nations Cup. It's a huge accomplishment for the club, a huge accomplishment for Israeli hockey and Israel sports. So congratulations on that. Hoping that the next Continental Cup will finally see some Israeli hockey wins, some wins for Bat Yam. But first, you got to win the league to do that. So best of luck on the upcoming season. It's been a pleasure, Josh. Appreciate having you on the podcast.
It's been a pleasure as well. Glad to catch up with you and talk Israel hockey, HC Bat Yam. Let's do this again sometime, and let's bring home a championship for HC Bat Yam.
Absolutely. Good luck on the season, and thanks again. Be well.
Thank you. You too. Stay safe.
Take care, guys.
Bye.